everyone. As always, I'm super excited to be with you and wanted to just drop in for the beginning of today's episode and just take a moment to really connect with our true north, as we call it at the school. So let's take a moment to close our eyes if you're able to. A nice deep breath in. Inhale through your nose and a nice long exhale out your mouth. Really let that exhale come out. Take a moment here to really tell your active, busy mind that it can just take a rest for this short 15 to 20 minutes that we're here together, that you're listening. Just tell your mind to just take a rest. Take a rest from all the perceived problems and things that might be making you feel anxious and all things you have to do and accomplish. Take another nice deep breath in and long exhale out. So we're going to set an intention for this time when you're listening that your mind is going to rest as much as possible. Now, we're all in different places in this journey. Some of our thoughts in our mind just might be racing no matter what we do, but we're going to just let it race a little bit less. Or maybe you can get your mind to be really still and calm while we're chatting today. All right. Go ahead and open your eyes. Whenever you're ready, you can keep them closed if you want to continue listening. There's a quality to listening with your eyes closed and your heart open. I wanted to start today by really being clear about why I started this podcast and what's happening in the world. I started this podcast because I deeply believe and feel that we are experiencing a tectonic shift in our world. And, I was a history major. I'm a student of history. I taught history for years, and there's these watershed moments in our lives. And the COVID pandemic, in case that was not obvious to all of us, was one of those watershed moments. And how we respond post-pandemic is one of the things I want to address today. And the choice that you have as an individual to create the world you want to live in. You are a change maker. You're a paradigm shifter. There is something deep within your heart, within your soul, that wants to come through you, that wants to create something in this world. So we, in some ways, have a blank slate. So you're an education change maker. I'm going to have Mary Jo Fairhead on in a few weeks, and she was one of my clients that I worked with. We did life coaching together. She was in our Inner Sangha program, our healing journey program. And then she went through all of those processes and went deep within herself and did the inner work. You'll hear from Craig C. Martin in the next episode, and you can feel his energy. You can feel his inspiration. He's inspirational just being in his presence. He's done the work. So we got to do the work. So I started this podcast because I know that the work we're doing within ourselves, that inner space, the inner work, the inner landscape, it dictates what everything looks like on the outside and then what you create. So Mary Jo created a school in South Dakota called Onward, and it came from the depths of her heart. But it didn't just come from one day to the next. It came because she committed to getting back to her true north, to her guiding light, to the North Star. And when I first spoke to her on the phone, and in case it's not clear, she's an education change maker through and through, just like you, paradigm shifter. She has opened a school that many of you, all of you, I think, would totally love. And she did the work on herself to see that her clarity and her North Star and what the guiding light was for her. And she started to let life work through her. And that's what I do now each and every day. And that's what I hope that I can do for you, that I can support you with as you listen, is to let life work through you seamlessly and flow. And on that note, I am actually starting a group. I think group transformation is amazing to watch. Like I said, I've had several groups in the past in so many different formats, and I don't know what the group's going to be. I'm going to let you guys tell me that. I know what the content is. I've gotten crystal clear on my mindful education warrior methodology. So how to really embody and become that best version of you, that mindful warrior, meaning that you're living in your heart and you're creating on the outside as a warrior. And so I have the methodology and the group is forming. I'm going to create a wait list and kind of see what you want and who's going to be in the group, because I've been in my mind about this group. What I have learned through this journey is that the mind is an amazing tool, and you can use the mind to, I've said this before, to discern and to analyze and to judge and all those things that we can use our minds for. And there's times where, not times, but if you can switch the default to where you're living in your heart as the default, and then your mind is translating what the heart is telling you, what the soul is telling you. So my heart is telling me that I'm forming a group. I believe it's educators that want to do the work on themselves and create amazing things in the world. And, I tend to want to create a lot of things all at once, especially when I get into flow. See how my voice is picking up. So I'm like, oh, I could have a leader group. I could have a principal group. I could have a non-school leader group. I could have a entrepreneurial group. I could have a teacher group. So there are so many groups that could happen. The options are limitless and expansive, but I want to hear from you, who are the people and who's the group. So I'm going to put it out there today to you, say it out loud to the universe that I'm forming a group that will be starting soon. So let me know what you'd like to see in that group in terms of your own journey, because I already have the core methodology and kind of the curriculum, but just, what you are wanting to get out of it, so I can really start to create that group. I bring that up because it's an example of how you can create with your heart versus your mind. So there's something within you that wants to come out. And I said this in one of my other solo episodes. It could be something really simple. Don't let the mind talk you into this big egoic thing. It's not about big or small. It's about what your why is, what your calling is, your purpose. And I know this gets so confusing out there, right? Because we, as humans, we have to create so much complexity out of simplicity. It's the simple point that I'm trying to make is that there is a calling within you that wants to come through, and your heart knows that. You know that intuitively. And my question for you would be, is what's blocking you from moving forward with that? So we can talk, I can talk in my one-to-one sessions with you or in the groups or the other things I'm working on. We can talk about the process and the steps and how you discern what your heart's saying and the timing and all of that. But in this short podcast, when I don't have that much time with you, what I want to say to you is, could you open up to the possibilities of what is within your heart? How does life want to work through you? How does the flow want to come through you, right? So that you can, like I say, you can lead with love, live in flow, and create lasting impact. How does life want to work through you? How does life want to come through you? And what is the change you want to create in the world? And when I say the change you want to create, like I said, this is a massive time of change, and it's a rebirth. And so we have a choice. We can go back to our old ways, and we can go back to the way we were living our lives, whatever that might have been for you, numbing, going through our day-to-day robotically, all the things you might have been doing, and we are still doing probably, and there's no judgment. I'm not judging it at all. What I'm asking you is, do you want to make a choice to do it differently? Now that the whole entire world has been shaken up, you have it in I say it in the description, this is to reignite the flame within you that got you into education in the first place. You have that within you, have this flame, this fire. And I hope when you're listening to some of my guests, you can see that they have followed their flame. They have followed their fire. And it could be in small, I always have to do the caveat of could be in small ways and this and that, because what happens is the moment we start to listen to our intuition and listen to our heart and become really mindful, it's so funny because the mindful, but it's taming the mind, it's minding the mind. So you're starting to become mindful of what your heart is saying and then leveraging your mind to really access the truth within you. But I have to remind people that it doesn't have to be this massive undertaking, because if I don't, then your mind and the scared part of you will start to talk you out of it, and the story will start to form. So I had a vision when I was 2015, so 8 years ago, about this time, the summer of 2015, I had a vision that I should start a school and a leadership institute. My mind could handle the school one, because at that point I was overseeing 10 schools. I had opened several schools and had been in education and worked in these amazing organizations. I had a master's degree from Stanford. I mean, all of the sort of things that your mind can wrap itself around and put into a box and create dualistic stories for you. I was like, okay, that's crazy. I can't believe I'm quitting my job. I thought I'd be working here forever. That's crazy, but I could like wrap my head around it, and my heart, I could feel it so deeply in my heart that I could. And then I wasn't talked out of it by my mind. And so, but the Leadership Institute piece, because that was still it's actually still kind of forming 8 years later, I just wanted to put that in a box somehow. I just had to say, well, it's going to be, is it a nonprofit? Well, I don't know how to fundraise for nonprofits. Oh, but then I'm a teacher. Oh, I'm a principal. And it was like all the stories for because you start to, the fear within you to open up to something much bigger than what you are at this moment, right? Me following the path to open my own school, and then leading me here to opening my own coaching business, and now moving into supporting people with opening their own micro schools. Mary Jo and I are going to talk about that. We have a new venture around helping people open micro schools that are completely different than the traditional model. And, working in doing life coaching, like all these things that I have just it's come here without me planning it and trying. It's just following my heart. But so I want you to just connect with that part of you that knows the truth, that North Star, that guiding light, and just ask, what is it that wants to come through me? And whatever it is, just trust it. And then when you trust it, the mind is going to do its thing. It's going to go crazy on you. Well, I can't quit my job. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh, what about my kids? I'd have to move. Oh, and it's like all those things could be true, and none of them could be true. It could just be, oh, wait, I don't have to move because I can do everything online now. Oh, well, maybe this is supposed to happen in 5 years from now when my kids are older. Oh, I don't have to quit my job because I can do this on the side. Or maybe this will be a 3-year process, and then you start to discern and you start to take it one step at a time. But the moment I'm taking a deep breath here, because the moment you release it to your the limitations of your mind and the scared version of you, it becomes very painful and difficult. And then you're trudging through it and you're efforting and you're pushing and you're pulling and you're talking about it. So just find the stillness, slow down, slow down. I know a lot of us are in the, if you're listening to this when it first releases, we're moving into the summer months. So in education in general, that's a slower time. So take this time to be really reflective and ask your heart. And if your heart says, I should not be a principal anymore, or I should leave the classroom, just say, okay, I wonder when that's going to happen. That's interesting. And try not to make it all happen all at once. Try not to put it into a box. Just be open to it and stay open to whatever that is, because this podcast was created to inspire the changemakers. And it was created to inspire the changemakers to do things differently. Inspire you to live and lead from your heart and create, co-create with the universe, live from your heart, and help us build this new world that we're entering. That's why I wanted to do this podcast. And so my ask of you is, if you're listening to this, you're an education change maker, you're a paradigm shifter, and you want to see change in the education space somehow, some way. You do. You feel it in your heart. You feel it deep in your soul. You know that we can do better. You know that we can do better. And you might be a change maker that wants to create change within the current system. You might want to, like I said, do something like a micro school. You might want to look at creating an after school program. You might want to do an online tutoring business. You know what it is. Not you, the limited you, but the massive, expansive, highest version of you knows exactly what it is. You might not know what it looks like, right? Because we got to go from the formless to the form. Exactly. You kind of know what it looks like, but you're not sure. So live in that space, especially during the summer, and then trust the process. Let it unfold. It could be 10 years. It could, like I said, I'm still working on the Leadership Institute 8 years later. The school came a couple years later. It actually did take me, so that was summer of 15 and I left. It took me a whole year to actually process that feeling that I had and that insight and that message. It took me a whole year to get clear on that and then to build my succession plan. And because I was the chief schools officer, so I had a lot of responsibility and I had been at the organization and helped build it. So I felt a lot of responsibility for being thoughtful and prudent about how I would transition. But it took me a year to actually move through that process. So just give yourself time, but trust whatever it is and know that the universe is benevolent and that you're safe and it'll all work itself out. You just have to kind of figure out how to do the dance between the form and the formless and the timing and all these fun things. And it's so much fun. And you start to live and light up. And you start to live a life that you allow life to come through you and you feel more awake and more enlivened and things look different and the world is just more fun. Everything's just more fun. All right. I'm going to speak in the next episode after you hear from Craig Martin, which you're going to love Craig Martin. Love him. We're going to talk about how to follow your light and get really clear on what's lighting you up as you're going through this process of like, what change do you want to create? So that's it for now. Reach out to me and let me know if you are interested in a group, maybe in the fall or, it's June now. So sometime in the summer or the fall, and just drop me a note on Instagram or, DM me or find my email, david@davidkrichards.com. I just told you don't have to find it. And just drop me a note. Let me know what group you might be interested in. All right, everyone, listen to your heart. Have a great day.